Hello, and welcome to the test range. As you can see, I'll just deploy myself here, and yeah, this is Battlefield 4 that I'm running on 32-bit because Afterburner cannot record 64-bit games, unfortunately. So yeah, Battlefield 4. For me, at least, once they iron out the bugs, significant improvement over Battlefield 3, somewhat at least. I'll get to that. So, God damn, that plane is noisy. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to point out some option things. This is how I play the game, so by no means should it be any indication of how you are supposed to play the game or anything like that. My mouse sensitivity is set to 50% because otherwise my mouse doesn't move and I have to set it on my mouse, so I'll just set it in the game anyway. The rest is default. I use mouse and keyboard, so I don't use any controllers. I suck playing FPS on controllers. Then gameplay is pretty much all by default for me. I remember the old days in Battlefield 2 I used to just take out the entire HUD because it distracted me, especially the crosshair. But I haven't actually found a way to disable the crosshair, so... Although, to be honest, it disables itself sometimes in the game, buggy or not, that's how it happens. On audio, I switched to stereo because I only have 2 speakers, unfortunately, on this system, so I don't have a 5+1. You should probably switch to stereo as well. I don't know if it's going to influence anything, really, or not, but it actually says on the thing that select the surround option only if you're using this surround speaker configuration or using surround headphones. I use stereo because, as I said, I have two speakers. VoIP is on, and I switched the key from Alt because I tend to Alt tab and crash the game furiously on myself, so I don't really use VoIP in-game. I haven't actually found any servers where I needed to use it, only with some friends. And when I speak to friends, I usually do it through Skype or something similar to that, like TeamSpeak. Then we have the video. This is the big one, probably. As you can see, I'm running on a very weird graphics quality, which is very custom made. Actually, most of these things were ultra, except for the MSA anti-aliasing has been off, and this was at HBR. The reason I put it down is because for some reason on my machine, a Hainan resort just shits the bucket, if you'd pardon the expression. Basically, the frame rates stay at a steady 40 to 60, which is the only map that actually drops my frame rate down from 60. Or maybe I should just have this on as well, so you can see. But as I said, maybe that's the only map that drops my frame rate below 60. Even with these settings, I was running Battlefield 4 quite well. I'll post my specs in the video description so that you guys can see and kind of compare and stuff like that. In any case, I'll go through these quickly from top to bottom. Texture quality is obviously going to have a big impact, so reduce it if you think you're getting frame drops. Filtering, just put it on ultra. It's what is it called? Anisotropic filtering, I think. I'm not too sure if that's the correct way to pronounce it. In any case, it has never been a problem. It's just basically how well the textures look, I feel. And you just keep it on ultra. Lighting quality is probably something that you'd put on high, as well as maybe effects or lower if you're stuttering, etc, etc. I really like my lighting, I really like my shadows, so I really like keeping that on as high as possible. Effects post-process quality are... I guess you could reduce both of them if you have some frame rate drops. Mesh quality, I'd stay with Ultra. I don't think it's going to really influence the game too much. Terrain quality, you may have noticed if you've played Battlefield 4 that the terrain looks actually pretty damn good. It's actually fairly decent for an FPS game. I mean, I would expect this kind of terrain from a RPG or something like that, but for Battlefield it's pretty decent. And yeah, so you might want to reduce that if you don't really care about the terrain that much. Terrain decoration is the little bits and bobs that are on the terrain. I've noticed on the PlayStation, I think when I was watching Battlefield Friends, which you should definitely check out if you're in any kind of Battlefield mood, I think that on the PlayStation this is probably set to very low, because I remember the Siege of Shanghai at the top. There is a bar with like furniture and stuff around, and that is not present there. I think only like the very basics, collision stuff is present, and this just adds the doodads around the map. So if you don't need them, or you think they're distracting from the game, get this to lower settings. Only if you have an extremely good machine should you go for 4 times MSA. I can try to apply it, but you see, like, the game is immediately dropped by 10 frames, and if I try to move around, you see that while it doesn't drop fully down, I notice some stuttering. I'm not sure if you'll see it on the YouTube player, but this is just a test range. As I said, the reasoning being, or my reasoning being to keep these settings off, is because I simply enjoy having a good flowing game instead of a choppy game that looks good. Post-processing, you can probably keep it on a high. This is most likely going to be HBR if you have the Nvidia graphics card, or SSR. I was playing around with this. I don't have a good eye enough to discern the quality in between these two. The HBR is more expensive, and I guess it will make the game look a bit better. There are some more frame drops for me with the HBR than the SSR, so yeah, you might want to keep it to SSR. I had it on HBR for most of my time playing, and I haven't noticed that much. But then again, the servers have been sometimes rubber banding, etc, etc. So play with these settings on the test range, and find out what works well for you, so that the frame rate doesn't drop below 50 at any specific point of time, like no matter what you're doing. Because in game you're gonna have more effects, you're gonna have more bullets flying, you're gonna have more weather effects, you're gonna have a bigger map, you're gonna have more players, and all of that plays a part in the frame rate. Now on the left side, it's my resolution, full screen mode. You can run it borderless or windowed. Skyrim had some problems, I remember, running it full screen. I don't think Battlefield has any. I'm just kind of comparing them because visually they had similar settings at least. But if your game is crashing on full screen, you might want to try borderless. Just saying. Don't play windowed unless you need to, unless you're playing at work with a huge ass machine and you want to alt-tab when your boss is coming or something like that. Brightness is specific, this is default for me. Vertical sync is on. VSync is on for me because I get insane screen tearing. I'm not sure if you're gonna see it, but if I unlock my frames, you see that when I look away from the main pot, I tend to get like huge frames, and this is also an ultra. I actually started with high and my frames were roughly around 120 or so. Now it's actually around 90 to 100 in this area. If I run a bit out, it'll probably drop to about 60 or 70, whatever it prefers, the screen just tears immensely for me, or at least VSync helps me quite a lot. So that's the reason why I keep VSync on. And also my monitor, as you can see, is 60 Hz refresh rate, so I have absolutely no need in keep getting more frames per second, because those extra frames are just lost anyway. My FOV is 90 because as many players I get motion sick if I play on the default, which is 60. There is a current problem with Battlefield that some players have noticed. It really doesn't bother me, but I guess you could call it a slight cheat. You see, the FOV with the normal gun, if you have it on 60, it'll actually be zoomed in quite a bit. The ACOG scope was not a good choice to present this, but in any case, the zoom in is very much, it stays at 90 FOV. I should probably actually just put to 60 and just show it to you. Oh, right. It only affects multiplayer actually, so I'm not even sure what I'm doing. In any case, the problem being is that people with 60 FOV tend to get a closer screen, and therefore they can aim at targets a lot better. If you can play on 60, go ahead and play on 60. I get motion sick, so I play on 90, and I haven't really been getting that many problems. I mean, I'm still not that great at the game. Oh, the frame rate just collapsed on itself. Maybe I should just go somewhere else. I'm still probably not that great at the game to actually notice the subtle differences. Next is the motion blur. Put it down to just put it down. Don't keep it high up. Is really nauseating for me. So if you can play with it and if you really like it, go for it. I put it on 10%. It adds just a little bit of touch of motion blur, which adds a bit more realism is when you move, instead of just having like a clear screen most of the time. If you're trying to play competitively, I should just suggest that you turn this off completely. As well as weapon DOF, which controls the blur on the weapon if you're zoomed in. I would turn it off anyway, because I do think it eats frames. I am not colorblind, so I have this off. It is a nice option for people that have problems seeing in between the colors. Resolution scale is something that you should probably keep on 100% unless you're running on all ultra above your refresh rate. If you're doing that, then go with this higher and higher, because what this does is this super samples your game, and what that basically means is that you'll get a bigger resolution fit into your smaller resolution. Now you remember how when you played the old, if you do remember, I'm not sure, but when you play older games that are capped at like 800 times 600, sometimes windowed mode is a lifesaver. If you play, for example, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, if you don't play it in windowed mode, and if you ask me in comments how I got it to windowed mode, I sincerely cannot remember. But in any case, if you don't play it in windowed mode, the heroes will be huge on the map, everything will just be big and blotchy and pixelated. And this is basically what happens if I were to reduce the resolution scale. I would actually keep my resolution, but I would downsample everything, and display it at my resolution. So Battlefield can go as little, I think, as like 320p or something like that. And if you want to super sample it, you can chug this to 200. I actually never seen how this looks. So. Oh, look at that. I hope my game does not crash because I'm recording. Oh yes, this frame rate is abysmal. And this is why I don't super sample. In any case, the game will probably look very sharp, very clear, and very good. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll try to get back to 100 before my computer just dies. There we go. And that's all in the video settings, really. Key bindings, nothing specific. You play it as you wish. One thing that I must mention that I had insane problems with is... yes, I am playing as in Battlefield 1942. This is how I learned to play, so 3 is my main weapon. This one. This key. If you've played the beta, and I'm gonna guess that you probably did if you're really interested in Battlefield 4, or if you weren't interested, please, it was a free trial, basically. There may be a leftover bug from the beta. I'm not sure if it just influences people, but I'll just get to the point. If you want Gadget 5 or Gadget 1 to work properly, that is the thing down on the screen, select it as the toggle underslung weapon. So this line should be selected to your key, and this line makes absolutely no difference. To show you, I will actually set this to say a random number like 8 and go back and go resume. Now if I press 8, nothing actually happens. As you can hear, I'm pressing 8, I'm not pressing any other key. But if I press 5, I actually drop the med pack. So that is how you activate your Gadget 1, keep saying Gadget 5, Gadget 1. And this is more or less just the visual interpretation on the screen on that small HUD. I've never done the system performance test, so I really don't care. These are my settings from the beta, except a bit higher, as the game does run a bit better for me. And that is actually quite a lot of information right there. I hope I've helped some people and clarified a few things. And then I think that we'll just go on some just basics of the Battlefield game before I wrap up this video. As you can see probably from my gun, I have been playing quite a bit. If you're just joining in and you have no idea about any guns in Battlefield 4, this is an M416. It has been unlocked as I've been playing with Assault some. This is the test range where you can check out multiple things and see how your guns work, and in general practice a bit before you go into multiplayer. I suck, as you can see. I need more practice. Basically speaking, this is something that everyone should play before you enter multiplayer, and it is a good starting point for new people, because sometimes it can be really terrifying going into a chopper and having a multitude of your people, 30 plus people just yelling at you because you cannot drive. And it's to be expected, new people are not supposed to be driving like professionals in Battlefield 4 or in any Battlefield game, really. So this is a very good addition that was really missing solely from Battlefield 3. And you have here some enemy vehicles and stuff like that, so you can practice around here and fly around, do what you want to do. And it is a good place to start. Now it's probably really loud, so I'm not even sure if you can hear me with the game, or how MSI Afterburner is actually able to sample this, but you fly around a bit, you shoot, etc, etc, etc. And it's a learning process. Don't be discouraged, basically. I've flown the attack choppers quite a bit, so I have the laser guided as well. In any case, I think that this wraps it up for this video. This is just the options, and I'll probably upload the rest of customizations and everything else in another video. So thanks for watching, and have a nice day, and I recommend that you buy this game in about 2 weeks when they work out all the bugs. So I'll catch you in the next video, where I'll hopefully talk a bit more about customization. Until then, have a nice day.